You haven't reviewed the mobile phone games yet. What about the iOS spin-offs, bro? What about the mobile Crash game? Good vid, but you missed Mutant Island. You're gonna review Nitro Kart for the N-Gage? The fucking N-Gage? That's the best joke I've heard in a long time. The N-Gage was a shitty mobile phone / gaming device that had various games ported to it, such as Tomb Raider, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and of course, Crash Nitro Kart. It's the same thing as the Game Boy Advance version with slightly more 3D graphics. The N-Gage. Nice, but you forgot Crash Nitro... Far out! Why does everyone think I've forgotten about these games? Are you saying that you forgot Crash Nitro Kart 2 on purpose so you could review it separately? At least someone figured it out! Have you seen this cool new invention? It's called a phone. It lets you talk to people down the street without having to actually leave the house and risk potential disembowelment. I remember being a young boy in the late 90s, and by young I mean 3, being fascinated with phones. Little did I realise that by the time I would be giving school the middle finger and living out of my bedroom like a sad human being, that phones would become much more than just a device used for talking to people. These days we all have one in our close vicinity at all times with full access to internet, porn and mediocre video games. But I remember a time when having a mobile phone was a big thing. Everyone had to have one. So that you could play Snake. I fucking love Snake. As technology Game Boy advanced, the games you could find on mobile devices became a little bit better, I guess. And like any popular franchise that gets snatched from the hands of its original creator, Crash Bandicoot was shat out into many mobile phone games. And I'm going to review them. All of them. The first game we'll be taking a look at today is Crash Nitro Kart, which from what I can figure out is the first mobile Crash game released in September of 2004. At least the game has okay music on the title screen. A lot of these games don't have any music or even many sound effects, which makes them deafening to play, because they make me feel like I'm deaf. Honestly, there isn't a whole lot to say about this game. It's a shittier version of the Game Boy Advance port, as there are less environments, less characters, and less everything. The controls are so good, however, it practically drives itself. Get used to that joke. The car moves forward automatically and all we can do is steer left and right, as well as use the less than impressive arsenal of weapons. What a turbocharged way to start this video. Up next we have Crash Twinsanity, released in November of 2004. It's that classic Spiral Mouth tune! This game is a 2D side-scroller and is a downgraded version of the Dock-A-Mock sections of the console game, where Crash and Cortex have to help each other get past various obstacles. Despite the lack of much sound or any advanced gameplay or high-quality graphics, this game is actually pretty enjoyable. However, there are only 6 levels, 3 in the jungle and 3 in the ice. Beating them all gets you some text claiming you defeated the evil twins, even though they're nowhere to be seen, along with a pixelated image of Crash. Worth it! Twinsanity actually got a second mobile game known as Crash Twinsanity 3D. That fucking music. We actually get a story this time that resembles the console version. This game is 3D, which is quite ambitious really, considering that this is supposed to be played on a mobile phone.
Oh brother, not another tutorial.
We have full control over Crash and he has all of his moves. Unfortunately, the versions I have of this game legitimately crash before I can play the second level, which is such a shame. I'm really pissed off about that because the later stages see you control Crash and Cortex both in the roller brawl and Humiliscape maneuvers. For a cheap port of a good game, it's incredibly faithful to the console version it's based off of, and if I could play more than the first stage, I think I'd really enjoy it. Moving on to another surprisingly good game known as Crash Bandicoot XN, released in April of 2005. I actually had a bit of trouble finding a whole lot of info on this game. There aren't many articles on it and only a few gameplay videos on YouTube. It's in the style of the Game Boy Advance Crash Bandicoot games, and it's pretty neat actually. There are 20 levels in various themes including the classic desert and jungle locations. Crash has all of his moves, jumping, spinning, sliding, crawling, high jumping and body slamming. Each level is filled with boxes, crystals and gems, and there are even stages where Crash is forced to run, kind of like the boulder stages. The levels are very short and any music that plays sounds a bit creepy, but overall, this is a really solid game. Crash even turns into a ghost when he dies. For a mobile phone game in 2005, this is pretty cool. I haven't unlocked all of the levels yet, so who knows what's waiting for me. But I'll have to save that for another day because there are heaps of games left to look at. Because people love racing games, we also got Crash Racing. It's a mobile phone version of tag team racing that is slightly more advanced than Nitro Kart on mobile phone. The game controls the same, it still drives itself, and there are different themes that come from the console version, new weapons, and 2 different characters. That's it. What do I say? Oh, and you can actually clash, which is pretty cool, but not really. Oh my god, look out, you crazy bitch! I know mobile phones at the time were limited with what they could do, but we've already seen today that good games on these devices do exist. So with that in mind, let's check out Crash Bandicoot party games. That's exactly what it sounds like, by the way. Boom bang on your fucking phone. While it isn't called that, the title screen doesn't lie. All this is a heap of shit. All of the minigames suck. We have to stop people getting hit with a mallet, shoot cows with this broken ass bazooka, launch balloons up at a black bird. I got one. You've got this bomb game which plays itself, waiting for a present to open and then pressing the button as quickly as possible. What? Dropping shit, stacking shit, Crunch trying not to shit himself while lifting weights, baseball, guess the character behind all of this garbage, press the button to let the dragon out without letting the dragon out on your turn, and this fucking disaster. You watch these dragons fly all over the screen, and then you have to correctly guess how many of a certain colour were present. How the fuck is anyone supposed to do that? Whoever thought this game needed to exist is a real shit sucker. I hate them. There is also multiplayer, but who cares? Speaking of Boom Bang, even though I really don't want to, it actually got a sequel known as Chokin' Crash Bandicoot, or if you prefer, Crash Bandicoot Intuition. It was only released on mobile in Japan. Thank God. Let's get as far away from those games as possible by moving on up to 2007 with Crash of the Titans that released alongside the console version. This game's art style is quite reminiscent of a Crash Bandicoot manga from Japan. The graphics are great and this is the first game of the day to actually have music play during gameplay. And it's awesome. The story is the same as the Game Boy and DS versions of Titans and the gameplay is as simple as ever. But it works. Jumping and punching happens automatically, but all that means is that you get to mow everyone down with ease, making for some therapeutic action. This game is seriously kick-ass. Look at this. It's a fucking elephant. There is quite the variety of levels, objectives, enemies, titans and upgrades. There is even a map system with keys hidden in levels to unlock doors. Once you make it far enough, you get a boss fight. Do this a few times and the game is won. Damn, I haven't had one of these in a while. Did you know that a competition was held in the UK where contestants had the opportunity to star as, quote, a major video game character in the role of Denbo for Crash of the Titans on mobile? The winner, Stephen Massett of London, was victorious and got his mugshot painfully added onto the body of the Elephant Titan. Or did he? I played this game through, every single level and every boss, and not once did I come across Denbo. At first I started to think it might have been a made up story, but all of these articles from the time are quite solid proof. This is the only image I could find online too. Nobody knows about Denbo. Maybe I have a different version of the game, or maybe Denbo never existed and this was all just the British government trying to cover up an attempt at world domination. All of these articles point to Denbo, but Denbo isn't there. There is no information and no hope. Hang on. What if I type Denbo into Google backwards? Of course, here it is. All of Britain's cunning plans to overthrow the entire globe, starting with Australia. I always knew they were a force to be reckoned with. I think I've found it. I've found Denbo, and it's the code name for the entire operation. They're planning to send 11 ships directly into the heart of Sydney. Their first attack is January 26. That's today. Oh shit, I've got to warn Sydney! Sydney! Oh wait, it says this already happened. In 1788. Happy Australia Day! The next game we'll be taking a look at is Crash Bandicoot Mutant Island. Cortex has hypnotised a heap of bandicoots and we have to save them. By beating the tar out of them. The jumping in this game, it's worse than the plague. It sucks. Trying to navigate this desolate environment is boring and far too challenging to even put into words. Fuck this game. No, that's not fair. I didn't even beat the first level. Let's give it another shot. This is actually a lesser version of the proper Mutant Island, which is much better. It kind of reminds me of Sonic games a bit. Good looking levels that fling you all over the place. The jumping still sucks though. Next is Crash Nitro Kart 3D, an iOS kart racer. Ah yes, because the original 2D version was shit! This game doesn't work. I bought this thing the other day, but apparently it doesn't like all the shit that's been updated since Activision last looked at this game. From what I can tell, it's just tag team racing tracks with shitty looking in-game characters. That blue stick in the mud, that's Ripperoo. Luckily for me, they also released a version of this game on older phones. Same thing as before, drives itself, yeah. I'd make the argument that this game is more original than the iOS version. Of course I haven't played it, but comparing recycled tracks and themes to completely new ones isn't very difficult. The graphics are good, the gameplay is okay, that's it really. There is also this new character, Yaya the Panda. Yeah, you wanna get out of my fucking game? And finally, we have Crash Bandicoot Nitro Kart 2. 3D 2. This game brings the official number of different versions of Crash Nitro Kart to 7. 7 different Crash games with Nitro Kart in the title. While my version of this game does work, my progress doesn't save, which is really annoying. Despite that, I really enjoy this game. It's nothing special and it's self-accelerating like the rest, but it's good. The graphics and music are good, all of the tracks are completely original, and Ripperoo doesn't look like a lost mental patient. This game is good. It's not great, but it's not a great pile of shit either. Well, that was the Crash Bandicoot mobile experience. There were a few lost gems, some mediocre crystals, and some massive piles of shit that make me want to walk a death route. If you would like to check out any of these games yourself, you can download them from the link in the description. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share. I'm Square-Eyed Jack, and have a great fucking day. Thanks for watching.